To be trusted with money and wealth.
Truth be told, I shouldn't even be here.
Your way, you got something called combat power. You've been through some stuff, means you had to face some stuff that I ain't never seen. And you might be walking a little slow now, and you might just be chilling now, but little do we know, if we saw the videos of who you once was, if we saw you in younger days, we see you marching, we see you tearing stuff up, we see you why, because you have come back power. That's the only reason why you made it to where you are today. You survive in environments that other people drown in. Environment is everything. Environment is everything. There's a quote. I don't know whose quote it is, but there's a quote that says, "Everyone is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb trees, it will spend the rest of its life thinking that it's dumb." Let me say it again. Everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb trees, it will spend the rest of its life thinking that it's dumb. You survive in environments other people drown in, because water might drown you, but it's home for a fish. Difficulty is that's not water you drown in. That's perfect conditions for you to swim. Difficulty? You a believer? This is what we do. This is what we do. Don't be careful when you compare yourself to people who don't have the anointing you have, who don't have the call that you have, who don't have the purpose that you have. I know what it did to them, but it don't mean it's going to do that to you. Doesn't kill who you are. It actually reveals who you are. Can I tell you something? You ain't met the real you until you have to use your power. That's the real you. You are treasure in jars of clay. Clay is not the real you. High you, that's not the real you. Smoking weed, that ain't the real you. Drunk you is not the real you. Because whenever you get into it, you start to feel alive. That anxiety you, that's not the real you. That clay has convinced you that that's who you are. That clay made you think that the shy, scared, jealous, doubting you is actually you. That's not you. That's the clay that you may be in, but that's not you. Underneath that clay, there is a spirit you. There is a supernatural you. There is a treasure on the inside. And if that thing gets kicking, your clay is in trouble. But it's hidden in a...
Let's go. Let's go. Good morning, family. Rise and shine. Another blessed and grateful day. Back at it again. We are fired up, ready to go ahead and dominate the rest of this month of October. Super excited. We've got a lot of great things in store for the future and for the now. So with no further ado, before we go ahead and dive into today's topic, we've got a phenomenal topic coming into today on how to go ahead and take your power back. So let's drop a little bit of gratitude down below. What is everybody grateful for? Grateful to be alive, grateful for God, grateful for the mind, for the body, for the spirit, for all the trials, the tribulations, all of life that is happening for us and not to us. Thankful for the dream team, thankful for the leaders, and thankful for all of the growth that's here and that is to come. So let's go ahead and get into the day. I love it. I love it. So here we go. I'm gonna go into today's topic, and I'm actually gonna double back at the end to touch on a little bit of yesterday's, because it literally went out right at, honestly, one of the most fire parts of the message. So I'm gonna go back and touch on that so you guys can get that. So let's go ahead and get into how to take your power back. Right, pen and notepads ready? Y'all ready to go? All right, let's go ahead and get to it. Here we go. All right. So when it comes to taking your power back, I want to put things into perspective a little bit, right? Think about it like this. We talk about creating a legacy. We talk about being able to leave something that is going to last for generations to come. Okay, but I want you guys to understand this. It's not even just about the legacy, it's also about the highest version that we become along the way, right? So when Sean really gave it to us this morning, this was big because you're really going to understand, doubling back to shame, doubling back to guilt, but most importantly, how to really take back not just your strength, but your power. Okay, so when it comes to leaving a legacy, when it comes to really building this highest version of ourselves, if you were to go ahead and drop 2 words, what are 2 words that you believe strongly represent doing so? Okay, in order to reach the highest version of ourselves, in order to go ahead and leave a legacy, what do you think are the 2 most important words that correlate with doing so? All right, I'll give you an idea. Service and significance. Okay, this is big. These are the 2 things that's going to be able to allow any of us to really leave a legacy, go ahead and make a lasting impact. And Jim Rohn talks about it all the time. The more that we can help others get what they want, it's going to come back and give us everything that we want. 11:11, paint your vision. So that's why inside of this industry, I fell in love with learning about trading. I fell in love with learning about these different skill sets because I understood I wasn't just learning this for me. I was learning this for the next ones ready to go ahead and step in similar shoes that were looking for a way out, that were looking for multiple streams, that knew each and every one of us were built for a lot more than 10, 12, 15 an hour, just paying bills and getting by, right? So service and significance, believe. Now think about this, right? Our level of belief, okay? How many of you guys, you believe the law of gravity, right? This obviously drops 10 out of 10 times, okay? We get that. But let me ask you, how strong do you believe in the law of attraction? How strong do you believe in the law of attraction? Okay, so if this is so, if we start a blank Facebook page and we put out about cats, we put out about sports, what are we going to attract? We're going to attract those similar type of audiences. But what happens when we put out value, knowledge, excitement, joy, energy, momentum, rank ups, withdrawals? What do you think we're going to attract? We're going to start attracting success, leaders into our organization, the right people, places, and situations flowing into our lives. So I had to stop worrying about the algorithm and start really focusing on putting out my growth, documenting the journey. And I'm telling you right now, if you're doing it the right way, you're not only going to be able to grow, you're not only going to be able to attract the right people, but you're going to see how far that you've been able to come in even such a short span, like 90 days of what we're doing right here to go ahead and finish off the year. Eric Worre talks about it all the time. He can credit some of his biggest earners in his organization, even himself, and they can go back and look at their biggest years and go back and credit it to a 90-day sprint, a 90-day run. Okay, long enough to leave an impact, but short enough to really be able to go ahead and leave a lasting finish for the year. Okay, so let's keep it going. I want to double back to shame a little bit. Okay, shame and guilt. We're going to touch on that a couple of different times today as well. So if I were to ask everybody right now, here's a deep question. Okay, what do you believe has leverage? Okay, what lack has leverage over you right now in your life? If you were to take a guess, what lack has leverage over you right now inside of your life? Could it be addiction to others' approval? Could it be ourselves, right? Having the belief that we don't believe that we can actually go out and make an impact and learn these skill sets, build an e-commerce store. Take time today and figure out, because most of the time it's something that we're not talking about. It's something that's actually happening. It's something that's happening internally. Okay. So that's my question to get everybody really thinking, because here's the truth. Okay. The success to activate right inside of all of us, and most of the time it doesn't even happen inside of what we're thinking. Most of the time it's addiction to other people's approval. We're so worried about what are our parents going to think? What is social media going to think? What are my closest friends going to think when I start really diving in and taking this journey seriously? And this was me at the beginning. I almost didn't want to post because I was so worried about what my friends and family were going to think. I was so self-conscious about everybody else's opinion until I realized none of their opinions are going to pay my bills. Nothing that they say is going to be able to deter me from where it is that I'm going. So take a second to think about that. The next thing I want to go ahead and give to you after you really think about, what this problem, what this bottleneck could be, is to go ahead and give you some praise, right? They called it JM3. Go ahead and pat yourself on the back. I want to say thank you to how far that you've come and how much you've already gotten through, right? We talked about it even this morning on this call. Those of you that have been in Florida, you've already, we talk about writing a list of, 100 to 500 things that you've accomplished. Well, here's the truth, right? Those in Florida just dealt with a hurricane. You've accomplished 500 things in the matter of the past 2 weeks. Believe it or not, to go ahead and stroke your ego, to go ahead and boost you up and give you a little bit of confidence. So this is so important when it comes to getting rid of shame, when it comes to go ahead and getting rid of guilt, when it comes into stepping into our highest potential. Because here's what I know. Most people walking, okay, they have the potential. Most people, they have the ability. But what's missing? What's missing? We're basing our future most of the time off of our past results, right? How we used to be, how we used to think, how we used to address other people out in public without a firm handshake, without looking people in the eye, without actually learning that, in fact, you are an alpha on this call, okay? Action, belief, potential, and certainty. Right? When you can start to get the certainty, you're going to realize that you activate everything, and it all starts with inside of you. That this is the same thing as the four quadrant box that we talked about earlier. Action, belief, certainty, okay, and focus. So this is big. All right. Getting into the last part of this section before I double back to yesterday, I want you to think about this, okay? Guilt and shame. Guilt is the action of not doing. Shame is when we don't take the action, but at the same time, we don't have the next steps. Okay? We don't have the next steps. So when you know the next steps, now it makes things a lot easier because now you can go ahead and take action and you're not here sitting with so much overwhelmment, not wondering what to do, right? We like to call it analysis paralysis. So many of us have been there, and I know what that's like. That's why when I started time block, when I started getting organized, when I started actually getting apps like the Strides app, I'll go ahead and give you guys a nugget for today. If you want to really go ahead and get organized, okay? The app Strides, you can actually go ahead and identify every aspect of your life, right? We're talking relationships, we're talking building your business with your contacts, we're talking your finances, budgeting, and I'll go ahead and show you a screenshot what this looks like to you so everybody can see it. But this helps you literally get everything on track, right? Your hobbies, chores, to-do lists, okay? You can add everything right there, your health, fitness, everything right there to go ahead and keep yourself organized. Okay? So that's big, all right? That's huge. Next. Here we go. All right, let me go ahead and grab this because this is big. You guys are not going to want to miss this one. There we go, okay? All right, so how many of you, let me ask you this question. And I've asked you this before, but I'm going to give it to you in a different perspective. How many of you know who your great grandfather is? How many of you have seen a picture? How many of you actually know their name? Okay. How many of you actually know your great grandfather, your great grandmother? Have you actually seen a picture, or do you even know their name? If you don't know their name, if you've never seen a picture, the truth is they didn't do anything to leave a long-lasting impact to even make their name known for you. And this is what happened to me. I've seen a picture of my great grandfather. I don't know his name. I don't remember his name. I haven't heard about him enough. My great grandmother, I've heard about her once or twice, but I've never seen a picture. Okay. So let's think about generations. I want you to really put something into perspective because this hit me like a brick. Okay. Here's what Sean said. He said, if poverty has been in for 3 generations, okay, if poverty has been in your family tree for the past 3 generations, guess what? The fourth one down, most of the time, if it continues to the 4th, it's going to trickle down for generations to come. Why? Because it has momentum. There's so many habitual habits that have already been ingrained. Most of the time, it bleeds into the children. That's why if you haven't understood this yet, without personal development, most of the time our problems bleed into others. That's why misery loves company. And when you look around, there's so much of it because so many of us are bleeding onto other people because we haven't taken the time to heal and go ahead and learn from the wounds that we have. Okay, so think about it like this. The 4th generation is you and I on this call. Okay. If you can really not remember who your great grandfather or great grandmother is, we are the ones to go ahead and break generational curses. We are the ones like Neo in the Matrix. If you've never seen that movie, they call him the one. Okay. I believe in everybody's family tree, there's always that one person. There's the one that comes up and has the ability, has the potential, has the certainty, has the belief and the focus to be able to make that happen. And I believe that is you if you're tuning into this call. Okay. All right. I have the chills speaking about it, spoken to and through me, because I know for a fact that this is true. So many of you have gotten through so many struggles, so many hardships in your life. Most people in your shoes, they probably would have quit already. But you're still here and you're still going, okay? So I want you to think about it like this as we take this one step further. Guilt into shame. Guilt says, I won't do that again. Shame says, I'm the problem, okay? Guilt says, I won't do that again. Shame says, I'm the problem. Now, for years, okay, we've been taught to go ahead and say, I am affirmations, right? I am so happy and grateful now that, I love that phrase, but I want you to understand something at a subconscious level, okay? Every time that we're speaking something, okay? Every time that we're speaking, I'm so happy and grateful now, it could be anything, that I retired my family and it hasn't happened yet. What's happening at a subconscious level is we're starting to get a little bit, there's many words that could happen. We could feel a little bit ashamed. We could feel a little bit of anxiety. We could feel a little bit of depression because it has not happened physically yet, right? We can't touch that yet. So let me give you a different way to think about it. Okay. Instead of I am, what happens when you start asking QLQs? This is called a quantum linguistic question for those of you that don't know what this is. And I'm telling you, when you can start to add this in, this is going to change the game for you, I promise. Okay. So a QLQ would be something like this. Okay. Here's what a QLQ is. I wonder what happens when I start developing into the highest version of myself and I start attracting the right people into my life. I wonder what happens when I walk out into public and my smile brightens up the room. I wonder what happens when I wake up and I'm able to go out and live a life free from anybody else's opinions, right? That does not have what it is that I want. Who do I become when people ask me to go out and tell my story because it's inspired the masses? I want you to start asking yourself these questions. And you know what's interesting? When your brain has a question, it will go to the world's end to go ahead and find the answer to that question. So when you start asking the right questions, you're going to start attracting the right answers. This is why they say questions will take us anywhere that we want to go. So start QLQing yourself and let me know, how do you feel and what do you start attracting into your life when you can start really thinking? You know why this is hard for most people? You know why most people don't do this? Because here's the truth. Most people, they don't think. 95% of the world, they don't think. 97% of the world, they don't think. That's why the book is not called Work and Grow Rich. The work is not called Speak and Grow Rich. The book is called Think and Grow Rich, because it all starts right here with the thinking. Okay. So now I'm gonna really get some of you thinking. How many of you have ever had trouble saying filler words? How many of you have ever had trouble being the ones to say like a lot? I don't know, right? If you've ever been there, drop some threes in the chat, and I'll go ahead and drop some threes because I used to be the same way. In fact, I got a C in my public speaking class. So I can relate, right? I literally almost failed my public speaking class. So it's funny enough how this ended up working out. But no, this is good. This is good. I want to go ahead and give you guys something powerful today, okay? The reason why many use filler words, okay, is because they're afraid. They don't know what to do with the space that they have. They don't know what to do with the space. The space is uncomfortable. And guess why? Because many haven't spent time to actually have space to themselves. They've spent so much time hearing other people's opinions, hearing other people's thoughts, that they haven't had time to actually hear their own thoughts. How many of you have ever had trouble meditating, right? You feel like, even at the beginning of my journey, this was me. I could not sit still for more than 30 seconds because my brain was always going elsewhere. I was always thinking about something else instead of being able to be present in the moment. Draw some twos if you've been there where you've had trouble meditating because you feel like our mind is going everywhere, okay? Well, let me give you a visual of what's happening. If you were to go on to, let's say we're going on to I-75, let's say we're going on to a highway, every highway has an on-ramp, right? And most of the time, that on-ramp is pretty skinny. So the same thing happens with our brain. When there's no space, there's no room to actually think. But when you can actually meditate, guess what happens? You're able to actually give yourself space. You're able to actually really think, and you're able to really get clarity on what it is that you're thinking or what it is that you're about to speak about. So here's the truth, okay? I can go ahead and record what you speak, and I can go ahead and send it to you, but that's not going to do the job. That's not going to be able to eliminate your filler words and allow you to really go ahead and speak from within. Here's the difference, okay? The past continues a lot of the times, even if the lesson is learned. So many of us, we can go ahead and we can get the lesson, but we're still bringing on the past with us. This is why shame and guilt is so important to understand, because my question becomes, are you ready for the love? Are you ready for the love when you start speaking as the highest version? Are you ready for the love when you start getting vulnerable and start being able to tell your story and let other people know about what it is that you're going through, where it is that you're going, and where it is that you are right now? This is not easy. This is why they say courage. It takes courage to be rich. It takes courage to be broke. It takes the most courage, okay, to be vulnerable. This is why yesterday when I was talking about getting vulnerable, this allows you to really be able to open up yourself. But let me show you how to really take it one step further, and we already started it. How do you create space? How do you be able to think for yourselves? You start asking yourselves QLQs. Just as I told you, whenever your brain is asked a question, it always goes and finds the answer, okay? So here's the problem. A lot of the times when we go and we look in the past to find the answer, and we've started to develop a little bit, right? We started to read, we started to journal, we started to meditate, we started to develop. If we look in the past and we can't find the answer, then guess what our brain does? We look to the future. And if we look to the future, and if the vision is not clear, if we haven't painted that picture clear enough yet, and there's nothing there, guess what? All of us, we're going to resort right back to the past and go bring up the old stuff that we know. This is why we talk about a vision board. This is why we talk about being able to write our goals. This is why we talk about being able to get a definite major purpose and get clear on what we want. Because now when you ask these questions, our brain is not going to go to the past. It's going to go to the clear vision of the future, right? Who do you become when you have individuals DMing you, inboxing you, coming up in random places in the store, asking you about your story because you've inspired them? Who do you become when you start waking up and you become fearless? It's not that you're fearless, but you've decided to fear less, right? These are QOQs. This is what's going to allow you to think. This is what allows you to create space and really step into the highest version of yourself and take your power back. Many of you, we don't need strength. We're strong as an ox. Sean says it all the time. He's like, yo, you look like a rock. You're good, right? You guys look great. But here's the difference. I see you developing yourself every day. It's not strength that we all need. It's power. Being able to get our power back. What does the power come from? Being able to get rid of guilt, being able to get rid of shame, being able to understand that we're the highest version. And it starts with belief and certainty. So family, with that being said, that's my training for you guys today. I hope you got a little bit of value, got a little bit of fired up, so you're ready to go ahead and understand that we are the ones that create the waves. We are the X factor. So family, with that being said, if nobody has told you yet today, I believe in you. You are powerful. You are amazing. You are unstoppable. And I cannot wait to see the growth that is continuing to come along the way. So family, go out, be abundant. It is your favorite entrepreneur, Define Dreams. Remember, you can be, do, or have anything you can hold in your mind. You can hold it right here in your hand. I love you, fam. Go out and have an abundant day. I will see you tomorrow on another episode with Rise and Shine with Define. Let's go.